Muslims during the Middle Ages claimed a total monopoly from tree to brew. How did infidels get a hold of it? Of course, smuggling history is a bit mysterious, but Venetians, Portuguese, Dutch, and English wanted in. The key was fresh beans that would sprout to start a coffee plantation. Discovering the value of coffee trees in Ethiopia seemed to be luck. It would happen somewhere. The trading culture of Islam meant an Arabian monopoly in production and delivery. That meant the importance of smuggling for profit hungry Europeans several times to get it into capitalist European hands. The best story was Baba Budan to India, then the Dutch and French. Coffee trading expanded from Yemen across the Muslim world. The developing empire of the Ottomans centered around Istanbul. The Ottomans captured the coffee plantations of Yemen in 1536. Given all the coffee houses across the Islamic world, coffee became the most valuable commodity by the 16th century, meaning the Ottoman monopoly was critical. Coffee beans were not allowed out of the country until boiled or roasted. European sailors and traders were as ruthless and cunning as those of the rest of the world. Wealth and power were more important than human life, that is, other people's lives. As noted above, the Dutch were the first to break the Muslim monopoly, smuggling coffee beans to Java. The Dutch introduced coffee to Japan and South Korea beginning in the 17th century. Using the coffee beans smuggled by Baba Budan, coffee was planted in South India, usually grown on small plots rather than large plantations. Most of the coffee was exported, mainly to parts of Europe, including Russia, Germany, and other nations, shipped through the Suez Canal. Coffee trees were introduced to the Philippines in the 1730s by Spanish Franciscans, where they would grow Arabica and other species because of the variety of soil and climate conditions. Coffee was exported both through the Suez Canal to Europe and across the Pacific to the Americas. After coffee plants were gifted to Louis XIV in 1714, coffee trees were shipped to the French island of Martinique, which became the earliest New World site. It is likely that all coffee plants on early New World plantations came from this shipment to Martinique. Much of the coffee would be shipped back to French coffee houses where drinkers exchanged ideas in French science, philosophy, and planned the French Revolution. The tragedy of Caribbean coffee was that most of it was grown by slaves, but not all. The Dominican Republic, the east half of Hispaniola, was the exception with independent farmers, now about 50,000, growing the coffee in the tropical highlands, and the country is the largest producer in the Caribbean islands. Coffee was equally important to Haiti, the western part of Hispaniola, but grown by slaves. What makes Haiti unique was its successful revolt against the French. It is a coffee grown independent country, but suffering from extreme poverty. Coffee critics claimed the world's best coffee was Jamaican Blue Mountain, lighter and sweeter than other coffees. The best of the best came from a single hilly plantation owned by Alex Twyman. High demand and low supply means it's expensive. It's also a tourist destination. Of course, lots of brands claim to be Blue Mountain. Brazil produces about a third of the world's supply, but why? Coffee beans made it to Rio de Janeiro in 1770, then spread around the country. Conveniently, it is a giant country on the equator. More importantly, it has considerable flat terrain at high elevations with rich soil. The U.S. is the largest importer of Brazilian coffee. I'm addicted to coffee, and there are millions of fellow American addicts. Coffee grows far south of our borders, so how did this happen? Next time on Food History and Mystery.